Hey, how's it going? Welcome back, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Always, hey, like I always say, the pleasure is all on this side of the table. We got Jeff Fox back. And what's it called? So we're on episode 14, and I'm excited. We're going to talk about the Twitter purchase.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's big news.
It is. It's crazy because, so Elon Musk purchases Twitter. That's, looks like it'll go through. There's no reason why it won't, it looks like, for $44 billion.
It's insane.
Yes.
That a person has that much money.
Right. And what I don't understand is that it loses money. Twitter does not make a net profit, meaning Joe Samo last year made a bigger net profit than Twitter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Insane.
How do you justify? I mean, so according to, it depends on what kind of like how, accounting it could be funny, right? But how which kind of accounting or what you look at. But from all, sources, it looks like it may have lost about $500 million last year, meaning its expenses were higher, so that if it's gross revenue was about $5 billion, its expenses was $5.5 billion, give or take.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? He spent $44 billion on a company that loses money, right?
I mean, that sounds like a thing Elon Musk does all the time, right?
Yeah. What's the deal with this guy? How does he do it? What does he have that actually makes a net profit, right? SpaceX doesn't, Tesla doesn't. Right, I think Solar City was the only one that made a net profit, and that's because it was purchased by Tesla for more than it was worth.
Right.
I did it. We did an episode.
We did that, yeah.
That's right.
I was sitting right here.
Yes. So I think, it's pretty clear that he did not buy Twitter for the net profit, right? And by the way, the $44 billion, the way it was financed was he borrowed from an investment, I think it was Morgan Stanley. He borrowed, let's say $23 billion, and then he put up $21 billion of his own money. And then a lot of the money he put up was secured by his Tesla shares. So that's how he kind of put together the financing.
Imagine what would have happened if he sold $20 billion of Tesla shares in a day to buy Twitter, though. That would have been
Oh, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, that would have changed the entire, blown up the whole market.
Yeah, it could have. Yeah, there's rules. That one is whenever you have a big shareholder, there are SEC rules about when and how he could sell that much of his shares. But it is crazy because if Twitter goes belly up, or if he goes belly up, and they have, Morgan Stanley has to take those shares. I don't, if depending on what they want to do with it, if they then go and resell them, then the market. You're saying the Tesla shares will go down because it'll be flooded with shares.
Yeah, if he does, so he can crash his own stock price to buy Twitter. That'd be funny.
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's right. So. So if he didn't buy it for, I did a little research. If he didn't buy it for its net profit, which he obviously didn't, he had, there's 400, give or take, and depending on which source you're using, about 400 million users and about 250 million active users, like they're using them, So that is a lot of power to have, because he's going to be the one controlling. And in addition, there's a lot of governments that use Twitter. This is how they go straight to the people. They go straight to Twitter.
Right.
We got United States, Mexico, Russia, the UK, the Queen of England,
Yeah.
So they go right to Twitter. And even the Pope
has a Twitter account?
Yep, even the Pope has a Twitter account.
Beautiful.
So now Elon Musk will be on top of all those accounts, right?
Right.
And one thing that I don't get, so Donald Trump, obviously there's the rumor is that maybe he'll bring back Donald Trump because, as you agree, right? Everyone would agree that was a very popular Twitter account.
Yeah.
For them to cancel him, that was pretty crazy.
Right.
In terms of now I can see why they're not making a net profit. They get rid of their biggest free advertiser.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that, Twitter was worth twice as much as it was last year as it is this year or something. So
it was worth a lot more last year.
You know what I mean? And the year before that, it was, so it's its fall was kind of more recent. And so I think, banning some of your biggest accounts might have something to do with that. And maybe that's where he sees the profit opportunity.
That could be. It could be that he sees it, that it's like, because he's going to, like he says, I'm going to loosen the regulations of Twitter and whatnot. And then, and if it brings back some of these people that were suspended, or kicked off, exiled, whatever, right?
Yep.
Maybe, yeah, because I think if Donald Trump reopens his account tomorrow, and they let him have access to his old account, I think that's going to be giant. That's going to bring up so many people back.
Well, I bet there's a lot of people on the right that feel a little disillusioned with the platform and have probably stopped using it. And I actually have seen some people that I've known have said things like, there are people who are ditching Twitter now because of the purchase. But I also have seen some people who said, like, maybe I'll start using it again. Like, like maybe I'll get back on this platform if it's not going to be like, a cesspool.
Yeah, maybe I'll get back on the platform if it's not some sort of like, left wing, we're going to kick off everyone that says something that's not left wing, right?
You're not going to try to build your following somewhere where you're afraid you're going to get banned the next day.
Yes, that's one thing to this day I never understood is while he was president, Donald Trump was kicked off Twitter.
Yeah.
And the Taliban has a Twitter account.
Yeah.
How does the Taliban have a Twitter account when the president of the current president of the United States, right? When he was president,
I'm pretty sure Putin still has one.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Like,
you
know what I mean? So it's like, it's very funny how they selectively ban people. Like just, it's when it's, I don't know, ideologically beneficial, I guess.
But North Korea has a Twitter.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it'd be one thing if I think they applied their standards uniformly, where it was like they held everyone to the same standards. But I mean, that's impossible. That's not something they can do, like, because it is a bunch of people behind that, like those screens, like doing all this moderation and everything. But
right. Well, I will say this, and I think there's a lot of. This is a powerful entity to have full control over. Okay, and I am a lawyer and a nerd. A dangerous combination,
there we go.
And I pulled up the full, it was like 50 pages of terms and services of Twitter.
Jeez.
The thing that nobody reads except
the lawyers. That thing where you grab the thing, you go to the bottom and hit I accept.
Yes, and you only go through the bottom because it makes you sometimes. The Twitter doesn't make you do that.
Oh, great.
All right, so listen to this. So here we go. Okay, and I kind of pulled out some excerpts. This is going to give Elon a lot of power, knowing that there's hundreds and hundreds of millions of users. So everyone that agrees to this agrees. Okay, by every tweet that people send and everything they display, by submitting, posting, or displaying content on the services, you grant Twitter a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free license to use, copy, reproduce, process, adapt, modify, publish, transmit, display, and distribute such content. Wow. So what does that mean? So
that means everything on Twitter is Twitter's.
Yes, exactly. Well, okay, this is how they get, what they say is they go, oh, no. You still own your content.
Right.
But
we're licensing it for free forever.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, no, that's still your car. We just get to use it nonstop.
Whenever we want.
Whenever we want. And you can't stop us. And we can change it and modify it.
The only thing that makes it a little different is you only have one car, whereas they can just copy it.
Yeah, exactly. This is they could keep copying it.
Yeah, because that would be a little annoying if they could borrow your car and then all of a sudden you just didn't have it anymore.
Right. So this one, you can keep your tweet and you could publish it in your own book or whatever, but they can too, and they could use it nonstop. And then how much do they have to pay royalty fees?
I think you said for free.
Yes. So now Elon Musk is going to own everything on Twitter. So we have hundreds of millions of people, the Pope, the Queen of England, right?
Yep.
The Donald Trump, if he comes back, and everyone else. So he's going to own all of that. So maybe he sees something that we don't see in the sense of, I could sell this, I can make books, I can, whatever, right? Like,
well, I mean, it's also just, I know with coming from a marketing side, I know how much analytics and different, like how much big data is worth these days. And so depending on what kind of data they have on people and what they're posting and everything, I mean, there's so much value there too. So
right. And that's probably what he's seeing or how he convinced the bank to lend him the money, to do this.
There's a few companies that have done things like AI Twitter bots and things like that. And what they do is they'll use Twitter as almost a training wheels for AI programs to like kind of see how people speak and converse and things like that. And I wonder if there's any plays there where he's like, he's looking into doing an AI company. He's like, if I buy this, like I'll have all of human like behavior on one platform.
Oh my God. Yep. And by the way, this is another thing, another excerpt from the terms and services. So, like Twitter, people can direct message each other. I don't use that function that much on Twitter. Yeah. So anyway, but obviously millions of people can do that, and there's millions of direct messages so that's basically emails, going back and forth, right? Like privately.
Private messages.
So here we go. So this is in the terms of services that every Twitter user agrees to. We provide certain features that let you communicate privately, with other people, called direct messages. And then so here's, when you communicate with others by sending or receiving direct messages, we will store and process your communications information. This includes link scanning for malicious content, link shortening, detection of spam, abuse of and prohibited images, and use of reported issues. All those direct messages are all scanned and and analyzed and this and that. So it's like they have bots that are reading your emails back and forth, right? Like scanned is reading by a computer.
Flagging things. I mean, and if they flag it in a certain way, I wouldn't doubt that it goes to a person to
reread.
Of course. Because you're not like a bot scanning it is only step one, right? Like,
so they scan it and then. Then somebody could read it. Exactly. So, and obviously you're agreeing with Twitter for all of that. So now, this is some serious power that this guy's going to have. I mean, he spent a pretty penny for it, right? $44 billion, but he's going to have the right to do all of this, right? Now, what's the deal? How is he going to make this this Twitter sale, he's going to be super powerful. Maybe Donald Trump will agree to come back. Maybe, this or that. How is, and I don't want to hear about this freaking edit button. Okay? What's he going to do? That's going to make Twitter better, you think?
Well, I know, I've been following the news on this a little bit, and the only things I've seen so far, the big things that he's announced is he wants to make the algorithm public.
Right.
So that like if anything's going on with like who's getting seen, what's getting seen, if you think it's a lot of views or a little bit of views, you can kind of figure out why. And it's supposed to be a little bit more transparent for that reason, right?
Okay, so he'll make the algorithm public. Okay.
That was a big one. I think there was a transparency in things like banning reasons and like ways to appeal, things like that, where it's like, if they're going to take your content down, you should know why.
Okay, so he's going to make that process more transparent.
Okay. And maybe add ways to, I don't know if he said this or if someone else said this that like was guessing this is what he would do, but hearsay, objection, making it so there was a path to getting your account back if you were permanently suspended, things like that, where it's like, it's like you can appeal, you can go through a process and try to get your account back, things like that.
Oh my gosh. Wait. So if Twitter is not profitable as is, what is he going to do? He's going to have more people that kind of oversee the appellate process who are getting your account back?
I guess so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then what is the deal with this edit button? No, you don't like the edit button, do you?
I think that if they add an edit button, I think the whole thing about Twitter is that it's people's giving their short, honest takes on things. And so being able to edit that take after people call you out on it probably isn't great. Now, if there's an edit button where you click it and you can see what they changed or something, that would be like maybe okay.
I got you.
But I'm a big fan of, I was like, honestly, I would go the other direction. I'd get rid of the delete tweet button. I'd be like, no, sorry, if you post it, it's up there forever.
Oh my gosh.
Like you got to stand behind your takes.
Oh, I like that idea.
I was like, I go the other direction.
You boast it.
Yeah, post it, you boast it. Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
You post, you boast. That's it. I like that. That's actually way better. Yeah, nothing gets deleted.
I'm gonna petition to not, instead of adding an edit button, to remove the delete tweet button.
I think you know what? I like it. You cannot delete. So whatever you post, it's there for the rest of your life.
All the people that are actually using it on a daily basis probably hate that idea. But I pretty much only use it for work.
But I think it's already there. Remember like the Wayback Machine or whatever?
Yeah.
Like there's all these like websites that they store store that information. So it's kind of like, you don't delete
tweet
it.
archives.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure they archive all the big accounts, right? They might not archive the entire every post.
They don't care about Joe Samo's account, right?
For sure. So
waves are made by Joe Samo.
We could delete stuff and they wouldn't know, but like Donald Trump, if he deletes a tweet,
it was all there. Exactly.
It was people were bringing it back up. They have screenshots.
I think back to the edit, but I think the only way that either what you said, like it shows what they edited, or you could do a little edit, but it keeps everything there, but you just like underneath it says edit. Oh, I forgot to say this, or I want to add this.
Because every once in a while you type something really quick, you hit enter accidentally, and like you didn't notice you misspelled something, and then you get 1,000 people talking on it. You don't want to delete the whole tweet, but you don't want the fact that you misspelled the word sitting out there. Like
I can't when I have a little typo in the thing where autocorrect does something, like it drives me nuts. Like I have to edit it. Like when I send a text, I can't edit the text. I misspelled something or whatever. Yeah. So then I just write a new text, be like,
Yeah. And so an edit button would be nice for those kinds of things where it's like, because right now you'd have to delete the whole tweet and re-put it up, and then if you already have some interactions on it stuff, that's all gone. So
wow. Yeah. Well, I think by the way, and he also wants to he wants to make the algorithm public, which I think, okay, there are algorithms for different websites that are public, but man, who the heck knows how to read those, right? Yeah. It's like, that's got to be worse than reading the terms of service.
Well, I think it's just as bad. I think the only reason you think it's not as bad is because you do that. Like, I bet if they put it on something like like one of those code repositories, and you have a bunch of programming nerds, you're on the lawyer nerd, you're the law nerd. I think some programming nerds would be super interested in how the algorithms work at these programs. Like, I think that those that could be super interesting to some people.
Right.
Not me. No, not you.
Yeah. But you're right. Yeah.
And I don't know how you read through the terms and conditions and actually.
I love that stuff, man. I read it. It's like if I had a choice between reading that or some sort of Harry Potter novel. I'll take the terms
and conditions every day. Jeez.
So what about, and he also, Elon Musk says he wants to get rid of the bots.
Yeah.
How the heck? This is going to be a tough one, right?
That's a tough, because no program wants bots. You know what I mean? Like there's not a platform out there that's like, I made this platform for bots. Like that.
We want it for people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could see that. I know that he mentioned doing something where you have to authenticate your account as a person, like on every account.
Oh, okay.
And maybe that's attached to the bots thing. So if you're not an authenticated account, you can't be posting and doing all that stuff or something. Okay. Like maybe that's how they're getting rid of, I don't know. But he has to do something crazy to get rid of bots, because that's a problem on most platforms.
Wow, bots. What I don't get is the bots. What kills me is I hope there's not more of those. Find the boat.
You have to do the captchas on every.
Find the boat. How is the one that says "I am not a robot" and you click the little box? How does that get rid of bots? Like, a bot cannot.
So
hit the link.
That's a good question. I think the way that works, because I do a little bit of web design stuff, is. Don't yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but the way
yell at him in the comments if he's wrong.
The way that it works, I think, is that the bots aren't browsing the website like a human is, right? So they're not seeing the buttons; they're just seeing the direct code, and so there's probably some sort of way when that displays that it doesn't show up in the coding unless you're on a visual thing. So you click this button and it does the code on a different server. It does where they can't see the code.
I see.
That's my guess. Is it's like
that's, and it also and the thing with the boats and the bridges, I do know from one computer programmer. His name is Quentin, SDSU computer programmer. Nice. He told me
name drop.
I'm gonna just so he sees himself on here.
You better like and share the video, Quentin.
So he said that with the bridges and the trucks, the computers, as smart as they are, sometimes the silly things that a human could notice, pick out that the computer can't. So it's something like that.
What I heard that was interesting about these is that they actually are using those CAPTCHAs as ways to train their AIs. So Google, the self-driving cars and stuff, when you're showing bicyclists and stuff, you're making their self-driving cars smarter so that they don't hit bicyclists.
Oh,
I've heard that they do that. And I don't know that that's a fact. That could also be hearsay, but
it's okay. Here, we're not in court. So I allow hearsay
in my
podcast. So Yeah, I got you. Well, look, the AI is amazing, and he definitely, Musk is big on AI. So let's see, which is in a way it's kind of funny, right? Because he loves AI, but he wants to get rid of the bots that are,
right.
AI, right?
That's
AI.
so funny.
So look here.
Actually, doesn't Elon Musk hate AI? Wasn't he the one that was like saying that AI is for sure going to be the cause of the downfall of the human species?
No, well, I
can't remember if it was him.
Well, he likes it and he doesn't. He likes it if, for the Teslas, right? He likes that, but he doesn't like it, for the bots, that get on the planet. So it's probably like, responsible AI, supposedly.
Responsible AI.
Right? So look, so one of the things I did, and this took me hours to sort out, okay?
God.
Yeah, oh God. Okay, so Elon Musk says he wants to make Twitter, more open for free speech. Okay, so what I did is I said, okay, well, let's look at the history, Elon Musk's history on free speech.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gets kind of interesting. The first thing is there was this funny lawsuit. What is this guy named John Bernal? This guy was a former Tesla employee. He got fired because what he did was he took Tesla, like he did a YouTube video, or he was doing YouTube videos, and he was basically doing product reviews on the Tesla's self-driving machine. Okay, yeah. and it wasn't anything according, to the site, according to him, and even Tesla doesn't dispute it. It wasn't even anything that was like confidential information. Like,
right.
It wasn't
he was using only publicly available information and all that stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So he was using like the beta version or something that's available to anyone that wants to use it. Right.
Okay. Right.
So he's using the public version, and he has his like little YouTube thing recording it, and he's like talking about it and doing like a review. And he was like showing how some of the things were done wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't work right. Oh, this disengaged me and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets fired. So that one, and this was while Elon Musk was running the show at Tesla. So obviously this is going to be a fun free speech issue, like things like if right, what do you think he's going to be,
Well, I don't know. I think that that's a lot of power for one person to have, and and there's so many different people who claim to be free speech advocates but are super pro censorship, that I don't like. It's really hard to kind of gauge when someone says they're free speech advocates if they're really free speech advocates.
Right, and this is why I spent hours to try to sort this out.
Because free speech, if it's popular speech, doesn't need to be free. Right, like there's no one who's going to sue you for saying something that everyone likes.
Exactly.
So there doesn't need to be a protection for popular speech.
Exactly.
So if
like
you say,
if I post, I love Mother Teresa.
Yeah, everyone's just like so brave.
Yeah, or pictures of cute kids, right? Those
so brave.
Right, is that so cute, right? Yeah, exactly. A little puppy dog.
For sure. So so for someone to say that they're a free speech advocate, they have to defend unpopular speech.
Correct.
And unpopular speech is much harder to back, right? Because because it's unpopular by definition. So
exactly.
So that, I mean, obviously there's a lot that goes behind that, and I'm sure we can talk a lot about free speech issues and all that.
Yeah. Well, this is the. I mean, look, this is why. This is his kind of like he's a PR specialist, right? Or PR was like a talent in PR, whatever, right?
Yeah, I know for sure.
Okay, so him saying, I'm going to make it a bigger
branding master.
A branding master. I like that one, right? So I'm going to make this a better free speech platform. And there's a quote. He said something about bedrock. Hang on. So free speech being the bedrock. Okay, here we go. I mean, free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. Yep. And Twitter is a digital town square. Okay. So obviously, like you said, a perfect branding,
Well, and there was a lot of talk. I know that when we were talking, they were doing all the censorship speech back with like Section 230, and they're talking about all these different platforms and how they could regulate and how they could like do free speech laws. They were bringing up specific buzzwords and keywords like town square and things like that, because town square, like there's some portion of law called like town square laws where it's like, you can that's where you actually are legally required to have free speech.
There's two things there that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
I love
it sounds
constitutional
like,
law.
It sounds like he was trying to put those keywords in there, those buzzwords on purpose, right?
Of course, because what he's what he's talking about is this. Okay, if it's a public square, like meaning like the government owns it, like it's a government park,
right?
That one like free speech has to be allowed like nonstop. Then sometimes, especially in California, if it's like a shopping mall where it's private property,
Right.
but it's so open to the public and the public's always there. You kind of have to allow free speech there on your private property.
Right.
Like that's like kind of a big one. So I think what he's saying is I'm going to try to make Twitter something like it's almost like a public
digital
square.
mall. Like
yes,
it's like so
that I'm not going to like censor things. Now, so what I did, okay, as I said, okay, several hours, all right. Should I, okay, so I found there's a Tesla handbook, that the Tesla employees had, okay, and this was from a few years ago. So I took out an excerpt. So it says here, and this is kind of funny because the handbook, like he called it like the non-handbook handbook, like the cool handbook,
for
so
sure.
this section called stupid stuff, right?
Yes.
So I worked at a big law firm right out of law school, and they did not ever say the words stupid stuff.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So because if you do something stupid, depending on the circumstances, you could get fired, right?
Yeah.
So, and then here's some of the examples of stupid things and this and that, right? Stealing, whatever. Okay, disclosing confidential information. So I kind of like wanted to highlight the kind of free speech stuff. So that one, okay, fine. That one, so
legally protected information.
That's fair. But this is where it gets a little crazy. Harassing or bullying others. So at Tesla, you cannot harass or bully others. Like, so that's speech, right? That's free speech. Like when you threw me in the locker room yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
When you made fun of me the day before, right? So that's speech. That's free speech. So at Tesla, they wanted to curb that, right? And I'm all for it. Like you can't have employees getting like bullied and harassed and made fun of. And
you're supposed to make your workplace a comfortable environment for people to work.
Exactly. So I think it would. What's he going to do? How is Twitter going to
What's going to change?
What's going to change, right? Because right now that's what they try to do. Like if someone's harassing someone or bullying someone or or whatever, right? So Twitter has that. So is he going to keep that? Like what's going to change?
Right.
Like he's just going to. We just change the censor or do like the person who censors or do we get rid of it?
I don't know. And that's a good question because he hasn't really come out and said how he's going to do that, right? And that's the big if, right? That's the big question is what does he mean by all this stuff? Because I mean, if you harassment has a legal definition, right? Like me just saying you're a dum-dum isn't harassment, right? And so there is a legal standard for harassment.
You know what that legal standard is?
What is it?
There was a famous Supreme Court case that they were trying to define pornography, right? And the Supreme Court justice said, pornography, let me define it. I know it when I see it. That's the definition.
That's a completely unacceptable definition.
Right? So it's almost the same thing with harassment, right?
No.
So what's going to be harassment? It's going to be what Elon Musk says is harassment.
Well, I mean, because if the law can't even decide what harassment is, how is Elon Musk supposed to do it?
Right? It's very tough. And then the other one, it says, look, threatening violence.
Yeah, but again, that's another one where isn't that a law? Like you're not allowed to threaten someone with violence. Like
that's right.
So there's it's funny because I think that a lot of times what these company policies do is they start with a law, like a legal reading of something, and then they're like threatening violence, and then they're like, I don't like you, and then they're like, that's a threat of violence because what you did is you engaged your followers to not like them, and one of them might commit violence against them. So it's like if you take these things, they sound nice and very specific legally, but then depending on interpretation, they could ban all speech.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing about this that January 6th, riot, insurrection, that there is now it's being debated in Congress. It's like people, and then they were saying. What's it, that Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, right?
Whether she's allowed to run for Congress again.
Yeah, because they're saying, well, did she incite that violence? Did she kind of promote that violence? Right. And then, and obviously when Rudy Giuliani said, let's combat, trial by combat, and when Donald Trump, let's fight, you got to fight. It's very vague, right? Because what is trial by combat? What is let's fight? Does let's fight mean let's pray, let's send protest letters, or let's freaking
start a physical alteration with the police.
Exactly. What is it, right? So now this is kind of crazy. So all we're doing is we're changing the decision makers, right, from the current Twitter board to Elon Musk. So he's
Right.
going to be the international decision.
We're
maker.
changing. Well, we're changing it from Kingdom Financial, the Saudi Arabian princes, BlackRock, and what's the something Street, like all these different hedge funds, like are the current or the previous owners of Twitter. So it's changing from a bunch of billionaires to one billionaire.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, so we're just changing. Wait a minute. Hold on a second here. I didn't know this. Wait, how much shares did Saudi Arabia have of Twitter? Like, or
10%
what
or
percent
so. I mean, like 6 to 8, 6. It was. They were one of the top 5 shareholders. Was Kingdom
of Saudi Arabia? Wow, look at that. See, this is why we have Jeff Fox.
It was one of the
Star.
bigger. It was one of the larger investors. I know that, and then there was like I think the number one was like BlackRock or one of those like standard investment banks owned like they ended up. Elon Musk bought more shares than them, and then they came and bought more shares so that they had more than Elon Musk again. And so they had like 12% or something after Elon bought his 10.
Maybe they knew that he was going to eventually buy the whole thing.
And that's the thing is people were like, oh, they're trying to prevent him from doing it. And I was like, no, I think they're trying to cash in. They see a $54 share price, but having Morgan Stanley's target of 30 as like a payday. So
exactly,
that's what they're doing is they're hedging their bets.
That's right. And then look, I mean this. Okay, so. As I said, this took me a few hours, right? Yeah. So there was this, and by the way, this thing about harassing speech, there was so many lawsuits, the Tesla factories in California that alleged, racial discrimination, like they were like harassing, some employees were harassing, minority workers, things like that, and Tesla ended up paying tens of millions of dollars in sort of damages. So it's like it's great free speech if it's kind of like guns, right? Guns would be really nice if everyone was responsible, right? But you have that 0.5% that's not. So
it doesn't take a whole lot of people that are irresponsible to make some big problems for sure.
Exactly. So but look, it got so bad, Elon Musk's, what's it called, censorship, that the National Labor Relations Board got on his case, and they issued a decision against him. And then one of the reasons is, so Elon Musk, with his Tesla employees, they were getting upset, Elon Musk and the Tesla, managers, because there was a lot of people were talking to the media, like the workers, like, this is going on, blah, 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 blah. So there was this famous agreement that they forced every employee to sign or get fired, right? Right. And it was kind of like, hey, we want to remind you of your responsibilities and what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. Okay. And they, I took some excerpts from this. This is something that everyone has to sign. It says the following. Additionally, meaning like after a few paragraphs of things you can't say. Additionally, regardless of whether information has been made public. Here we go. It is never okay to communicate with the media or someone closely related to the media about Tesla, unless you're specifically authorized in writing from Tesla to do so.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Wow. But that's, Mr. Free Speech, Elon Musk, that's great. Like this is his history, right?
But that's a tough one because
what about the bedrock of democracy?
Yeah. Well, I think you can hold different groups of people to different standards. Your employees being like if you have a Tesla employee speaking to the media, what's happening is now they're an agent of you basically. So now the media is going to put like this guy is speaking on behalf of Tesla. And so me speaking on Twitter, I'm not speaking on behalf of Twitter. So I could see a little bit of delineation there, right? It's like you can hold different people accountable to different standards, right? As if the CEO says something about a company, like then everyone knows they're speaking on behalf of the company, right? If a person who's a customer of that company says something about the company, you don't think that they're an agent of that company or speaking on their behalf. So correct. I think that there is reasonable levels of I wouldn't want like one of my employees going on the news and saying a bunch of just things that aren't true about the and then all of a sudden now I'm having to be held to these standards that I did not set up, right?
So like an employee says something like, oh yeah, we're gonna make the cars that we're gonna produce, they're only be like worth $15,000 or we're gonna make them sell for $15,000.
Yeah, it's like I just really think so I go out there and one of my employees goes out there and says, I think we should really be doing this for free for a lot of small businesses and things like that. And then I get a bunch of calls from small businesses saying, oh, one of your employees said everything was free.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, no, they weren't speaking on behalf. They were saying personally they believe that. So there is a really difficult relationship
but in theory,
there.
in theory, they could have had something like saying, like, you just have to put a disclaimer that you're not speaking on behalf of the or
sure.
it's like if a Tesla employee, it's pretty clear that they're also trying to curtail things like an employee complaining about something, right? To the public,
for sure. But also, like, they're not allowed to not speak about to the media at all. It's just that, like, but why would the media want to talk to someone from an employee of Tesla about Tesla unless they're trying to get them to do something sketchy?
Yeah, well, no, it could be fair things like, what are the work conditions like? What are, it doesn't have to be, what's the source code?
Right.
What's the working conditions like? What's the attitudes like? What is the morale like? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And that, well, look, but it goes further. How about this? Look, it also bans, forever, right? You cannot write about your work in any social media blog or book. So what if I want to write a book later about just not secret things, but just my like, so I don't know. In my opinion, I don't think Elon Musk is you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's proper, just like you said, you have to curtail the speech. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think he's going to have the same problem that Twitter had all of this time.
I think my only hope is that with the same problem that he handles it in a transparent way, so that you can just see why the decisions are being made the way that they are. That would be my only hope, is that that if you go on Twitter and you like if you've built 1 million followers on Twitter and you start posting and all of a sudden your views are just going down and down and down and you have no idea why, and all of a sudden, but then this all of a sudden comes out that you've been shadow banned, so they didn't tell you were banned. The algorithm corrected for you your existence.
We fixed the glitch.
Yeah.
Laid off 5 years ago and no one ever told him about it. But through some kind of glitch in the payroll department, he still gets a paycheck.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
Great.
We don't like what you're saying, so we're just going to slowly divert people away from your page. We're going to let less people see it naturally in the algorithm, but you don't get to know that, right? And so, like, things like that, I mean, all my hopes is that it's just more transparent. Right? Okay. Is it like, because you can't leave illegal speech, like illegal things up there. People can't be like breaking laws on your platform. You can't be posting pornography, especially like child pornography or things like that on the platform. You shouldn't be, you can't be like, I think even doxing, sharing people's like personal home address or something on their posts.
Wait, there's
like,
a term for that?
Yeah. Doxing.
Doxing? Yeah. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
So doxing, like Jeff Fox lives on 2438.
That's not the actual address. Because like
Jeff Fox.
That was in the news. That was in the news. This last week, actually, there was I think it was. I don't want to get the news publication wrong and stuff, but there's one of the publications got in trouble because there was a TikTok account called Libs of TikTok or something like that, something like that, and all they did was take people saying crazy things, make compilations of it, and turn that into posts. And someone found out their address, and they published it on like Washington Post or one of those a big like one of her addresses, like all this kind of stuff. And so like that kind of stuff, most platforms have in their terms, like you're not allowed to dox people. They're not allowed to share, like go and
there's a guy on Twitter. The guy that he follows the airplanes. Like he goes, Elon Musk is flying from here to here. Elon Musk is about to take off from here.
Yeah, and like that kind of, I don't know. I think it's personal address kind of stuff, and like that kind of stuff. But I mean that's you could make a case that like if you're posting that under someone where like they say something you don't like and you post where they're gonna be. Like that could be seen as like a call to violence. You know what I mean? So I could see how some of that stuff would be.
There was, oh my God, I wish I remembered, but somebody was pissed at someone and they're like, all right, here's his personal cell phone number. Yeah. And then the guy just had to get a new
that would kind of count, I think, a little bit, not as bad as personal home address or something like that, where they can go to your house and, know where your family lives and stuff. But
right. So then it sounds to me like but the funny part is I kind of, to the people that say make it more transparent when someone gets banned, I have a feeling then when someone gets banned, they know why. Donald Trump knew why he got banned, right?
I mean, what did he get banned for? Yeah, I think
he got banned. I think that's pretty crazy to ban the president of the United States, but I think they were banning him because of the election fraud, right?
Well, yeah,
like him saying,
he said things that they said were untrue.
Right, exactly.
Right, but does free speech protect speech that isn't true? Like and true to what standards? Like, because there's lots of speech that they say something and then it comes out that was wrong, and like even you'd have to ban the New York Times, CNN, New York Post, Fox News, like because they've all had to issue corrections to stories. Like that's
Elon Musk. I mean, Okay, let's go the other way. Let's say Elon Musk. I'm not going to ban Donald Trump even if he publishes whatever COVID is a hoax, right? Or the election I won, right? Whatever it is, right? I mean, you could see how this could get really bad. Like you could have someone like Joe Samo sending out tweets saying, Joe Samo, the best lawyer in America.
But people already do that.
I know, right? So, but what if it's like really dangerous? Like, oh, don't worry, you can take, whatever, OxyContin if you have a headache or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if like some whack doctor says that, like you're going to want to like stop that speech, or meth is good, legalized meth. Right? Like this is going to get
that's a gray area to me because a lot of the stuff like the COVID things that people got actually banned for were saying things like that the vaccine doesn't prevent people from getting COVID. It just helps you with symptoms. And then like they got banned for that. And then a year later, they're like, oh, by the way, you're probably still going to get COVID.
Yeah.
But it's still good to take. It's still good to get vaccinated because it still reduces your symptoms and stuff. But like at first they weren't, that would have gotten you banned for saying that.
Right. And then, but it's true.
But it was true. It turns out that it was true. So it's like, you got to be careful with that stuff.
What's funny is Elon Musk did make how you said, it's a gray area. You know what he said about that? He did make a public comment. He said, if it's a gray issue, I'll let it stay.
Yeah, and that's...
Oh, there we go. Look at Joe Samo branding. If it's gray, let it stay.
Oh, Elon, you should buy that off of him.
If it's gray, let it stay. What do you think?
I think that's great.
If that ends up being used, we said it here. Today is April 26th, right?
Yeah.
2022.
Copyright.
Copyright. Yeah. I didn't license that to anybody. Okay. So look.
But if you post it on Twitter, they'll own it. So
that's right,
careful,
man. That's right. Okay. So listen. Here we go. Here's a few things this is the current Twitter, more terms and services, right?
Yes.
So, and then you tell me, do we keep does Elon, if you were Elon's, what's it called? Obviously, okay, like suicide or self-harm, you may not promote or encourage suicide or self-harm.
Sounds reasonable.
Yes. And that one is like, okay, obviously child sexual exploitation. Like
easy peasy.
Gone, right? That one, keep the ban on that.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets really crazy, right? Like we said earlier, okay, you may not engage in a targeted harassment of someone or incite other people to do so. This includes wishing or hoping that someone experiences physical harm.
Yeah, I would say that
and I hope they burn in hell.
I think there are certain cases of that where it is super obvious that people should not be able to say stuff like that, like calling people to here's where they live. I will
kick Jeff Fox's ass.
I'll pay someone $10,000 to go kick Donald Trump's ass. Probably illegal, right?
Yes.
But then again, I remember back in the day, there was that learn to code thing where people were getting banned on Twitter for tagging people from those big media places that were getting fired and just tagging them and saying learn to code, and they all got banned for that.
What does that mean, learn to code?
So there was this is a long internet story, but basically when there was all the truckers were losing their jobs and stuff like that, a bunch of the big news outlets were like, they should probably just learn to code or get a more modern profession. If your profession's going away, just learn to code.
Okay.
And so that was a big meme for a while, was learn to code, right? And then when they all started losing their jobs because some of those online
the media people were
losing their jobs, then people were responding to them to learn to code. And anyone who responded to the media person with that would get banned from Twitter.
Why?
Harassment.
Oh, learn to code.
Harassment.
My gosh.
So you know what I mean? So I there's some things in abuse and harassment there obviously should be banned for. And then there's things like that where you're like, Really?
So learn to code is kind of like the modern day let them eat cake.
Yeah, it was the same idea. It was like a bunch of people like in like the the media elites telling
Become a doctor.
Like, why don't you just learn to code?
Become a doctor.
Yeah, for sure.
Why
So
don't you
that
just
was the
become a
meme.
doctor?
That was the internet.
I'm
meme, so.
gonna use that learn to code.
It was
right?
don't. You'll get banned.
To this day, it's that way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god! Look how it is hateful conduct. See, this is gray. Let it
Really,
stay.
right,
You
yeah.
may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people. Here we go. On the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion. Oh my gosh! Age, disability, or serious disease. I mean, man. That's going to be a doozy, right?
Yeah, because I mean, that's again like.
Can we make fun of Kylie Jenner? Not Kylie Jenner. Who's the one that Caitlyn Jenner?
Oh, right, Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah.
Yeah, can we make fun of her or not? Like that. I mean, the people.
Depends on how you make fun of her.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know because like
Right?
that's So I mean, like you obviously can't misgender or misgender people and stuff like that. Like that's for sure. People got banned for that.
Yes.
But like, does that mean she's immune to criticism at all?
Right. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Yeah.
So like again, like there's all these ones where there's cases where it's like obvious that people should like get and also there's at the end of this we'll wait to the end, but after you get through these
now, man, we're done.
Oh, that was all of them.
Well, this is the other ones are no terrorism and no illegal sales of
the Taliban?
illegal products. But can Joe Samo still sell his merch? Buy Joe Samo, running by my lawyer merch.
Yeah, we got to get you some merch. That'd be easy.
All right, so what were we gonna say before I rudely cut you
So
off?
like, and I mean, I guess there's also you're good. There's also the idea of like, what is if you decide that these things are wrong, what is the punishment? Is it you do one of these things one time, permaban?
Oh, okay. So,
Right, and depending on how bad the egregiousness of the like. So that's another question, right? Is there any reason why if someone posted something that was gray area, why you couldn't just delete the tweet? Like just just delete that tweet.
Get rid of that.
Violates it. You delete the tweet, or you suspend temporarily, make it really hard to suspend people permanently, or I don't know. I just feel like that's a completely different topic, but it's attached to this one, right? Where it's like, here's what the rules are. Now here's how we can actually enforce them.
And like I've said before, lawyers love vague.
Yeah.
So lawyers love the gray.
Yeah.
Gray, let it stay.
For sure.
Lawyers love. So there's from the lawyer aspect, it's like lawyers love when a system changes right away.
Yeah.
Because ordinarily they make mistakes, right? Yeah. So if he's gonna like radically change the system, lawyers are gonna love it because there's gonna be so many lawsuits. Like, how can you let this in? How can you let that in? How can you delete? Why'd you delete these people, not these people? Yep. Oh, is it a racial bias that you deleted them? Yep. So lawyers are gonna have it's gonna be a beautiful cluster.
Yeah.
Okay.
It always is.
So what I don't get, I think both of us kind of agree that Elon, to a certain extent, is going to have to censor, right? And then
he's going to be legally required to take
censor,
off illegal content,
right? So he's going to still have to censor, and then it's going to be a flippin' cluster mess for this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he did it.
Yeah.
Is it because of the net profit from Twitter?
Yeah, no. I mean, well, maybe in the future. Here's the thing: is if he thinks he can get it back to where it was a few years ago, and he can turn his $50 a share into 76 or whatever it was last year. Like, I mean, that's a 50% return on investment in a year. Like,
we'll see.
So I don't know. But
we'll see. It sounds like a big headache.
It's a big headache.
We'll see. My general opinion is never buy a company that makes less net profit than Joe Samo. It's really simple rule.
No, that's
of thumb,
a pretty reasonable. That's
exactly.
a pretty reasonable.
I guess people don't listen. All right. Well, thank you for coming back,
Yeah,
man, and
absolutely.
to run it by my lawyer. And as I always say, you have a question, you have an issue, run it by me. If you want to sue Twitter, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely.
All right,
Always
brother.
a pleasure.
Thank you.